This your boy James, and you are now in tune for the 79th Street Podcast. And when I mean 79, I just mean my thoughts and perspectives from growing up on the south side of Chicago. So let's get it. How y'all doing? It's James back at it again with another edition of the 79th Street Podcast. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who's been here supporting. I really do appreciate it. And with this podcast, I just want to bring awareness, give people some tips and tricks on how to be successful in college and transition into college. Like, I struggled, and if I can stop you from making the same mistakes that I made, then I've done a great job. So in this episode, I'm going to get real vulnerable, and I'm going to talk about, what it's like being on academic probation. Some people may say, what is academic probation? Academic probation is when you fall up under 2.0 cumulative GPA at your given institution. As you get into like grad school, med school, that GPA looks different, but for a regular undergrad student, it's a 2.0. Now, whenever you get on academic probation, pretty much there are some punishments and penalties that come with it. So, for example, if you're on academic probation 2 semesters in a row, the school can dismiss you. Even if you are allowed an appeal, they can definitely, take your financial aid and some other things like that. Some schools put in place for freshmen something called freshman warning. It doesn't count towards academic probation in some places, but that academic warning GPA is like a 1.617. So if you get that, you're good. If you don't get that 1.6 or 1.7, then it will be academic probation. So I was on academic probation my first 2 semesters, 1.9 my second semester, 1.2 the first semester, so that led to dismissal from college. I remember when I finished my first year of college, what some people know, you probably know now, but a lot of people didn't know, my grades went nothing, but I made some good strides semester 2, I had like a 2 point something GPA, but when you averaged it with that first semester GPA, it put me at like a 1.9 something. Like it was real close. And I remember I didn't work the summers, so I ended up just being home in Chicago. So I would literally run every day to check the mail before my mom got home. I knew it was coming, but one day, y'all already know what I got. I got that letter dismissing me from university, and I just hid it. Like, I'm pretty sure I threw it away, instantly, just knowing, dang, I'm not going back to school. How am I going to spend this? What's going on? Fast forward about a month, another letter came. Same scenario. I was able to get to it before my mom, and it was just saying, hey, you need to come and meet with somebody. We're gonna keep you, here, but you need to come down and meet with somebody, or we're gonna renege this offer. And so, at that point, I had to grow up, and I had to just let my mom know what it was. Hey, I gotta go down to school. My grades wasn't all that, because my mom wasn't asking me to look at my grades. Hey, how was the grades? I was like, oh, it was okay. What's okay? Well, I got this kind of lying about the full picture. Just giving a partial picture. And, I remember, just having to set a date, and y'all wouldn't believe me if I told y'all this, but the day we had to go down there was July 20th. July 20th is significant because that's my mom's birthday, so it was a planned day off from work. We had to drive to the CAP. We go to this 30-minute meeting in the academic advising department for them to tell me, hey, this is why we kept you. We kept you because we like the schedule you had. We feel like it's going to help you really get back on track. And so we decided to keep you because you were so close. But, if you don't produce, you will be home after the fall semester. And so approaching that fall semester, I was just kind of like, all right, I gotta make this happen no matter what. So I had already had a schedule where 15 credits. I ended up dropping a credit, not a credit, 3 credits when the fall semester started because my cousin was murdered in Chicago. So that was like something else I had to deal with. On top, like literally, I went to school on a Monday. I moved back in early on a Monday. That Sunday, I was finishing up packing, loading up the car, and I got the phone call. My cousin, had got murdered, and it kind of made me want to do a couple things. Like it made me not want to go back, and when I got back, it made me want to just go home. And I remember, just being there and just kind of going through the motions because the reason I was moving back, I moved back early because it was a volunteer opportunity to move in to get some training to help on the day of moving because they had just updated our hall to a key card system, so that way it was kind of like a hotel. You didn't have to use a key, you just needed your ID. And so I was getting training to do that. And truth be told, I remember the hall director was like, hey James, I gotta holler at you. So shout out to Teese, I appreciate him. And he was just like, James, I pulled your grades, I saw what it was, he said, I'm the reason you're back early. He said, because all the names of the people that was interested, they had to come through me. And he said, when I saw your name, I was like, hey, I need to get him here and do an intervention because he's a great kid, and so you got a lot of potential. And I remember Martise planning this this intervention with my RAs from freshman year. And so moving forward, I was like, all right, so Martise set up a time, I came down, and he just was like, all right, James, we gonna fix this, and we gonna fix it now. And left me in a room with Sam and Ethan. And Sam and Ethan were just really supportive on just like, hey, we get it, we know you're going through a lot, but you gotta produce, like, you're here for a reason, and you're a great talent. So I walked away from the intervention kind of uplifted, knowing that I had this support, from the hall director to my former RAs. Was just like, hey James, we're here for you. And they definitely looked out. But as I got back to school, and so I moved in like 4 days early. And while at that time, leading up to like when classes started, I spent the first day of class at my cousin's funeral, like literally. So that Monday when classes started was the day of my cousin's funeral. And it was just tough, like, and as I talked to some people, I'm like, man, I'm gonna go back home, I'm gonna take the semester off. And people was rocking with it. It was like, James, you gotta do what you gotta do, what's important. And I remember my bro Harold, shout out to Harold Rattle, the OG, was just like, and everybody that I talked to and told them I wanted to go back home, Harold was the only person that questioned me. Like, he was like, James, do you got a job back home? I'm like, nah. He was like, you gonna go back to school? He said, I know you're gonna go back to school. He said, cause the semester's starting, so you ain't applied nowhere else, so you gonna waste the semester. And he's like, James, he said, I ain't gonna lie. The same thing probably gonna happen to you. He said, cause I already know how to go in the city. He said, they get one, y'all gonna go try to find one. He said, so I can see the same thing happen to you, or you end up in jail. And so I just kind of took another perspective, on it. Like, all right, that might not be a good idea. Maybe it's best for me to be here. So I ended up, like I said, dropping a class because it was 15 credit. That would have put me at 15. I ended up taking 12, so I had 4 classes. And when you kind of go into the notions, you just kind of make some mistakes that you don't think about. Where I should have waited for the withdrawal deadline, but instead I took myself out of the class, and so I ended up on money because my math and Pell was prorated. I wasn't enrolled fully in 15 credits. And but shout out to Don, because Don definitely helped me figure it out, and was like, hey, we all make mistakes. He went to the financial aid, and they hooked your boy up and got that amount covered. So just grateful to have like some of those allies your pocket. But how I approached that semester, so I was retaking 3 classes, and then one class was new. And some people say like, oh, like my 4th class was Mr. Smith, and I tell people Mr. Smith, one of the OGs at the Center for Black Studies. Mr. Smith, like one of the uncles that I never had. And so I had Mr. Smith class, and Mr. Smith allowed me in his class because he too saw the potential in me, because like I was a sophomore in a 400 level class, and I was like one of 2 sophomores in the class. And so Mr. Smith was like, nah, he said, I'll let James take it. He said, I don't let just any sophomore take it. And I think I learned a lot, because I learned how to just like maneuver that semester, because in this particular class we had some books, we talked about some concepts. And I remember the one book we was reading by Naeem Akbar, he was a psychologist, and so this brother was deep, like and it was some stuff where the book small but just had a lot of knowledge. And I remember having to read over stuff 2 and 3 times, and then after I did that, going to the Center for Black Studies and talking to Mr. Smith and my mentor Farouk just about the book, and they was like, all right, you're doing what you have to. But if anybody heard the episode on being a master student, this was that semester where I started working. Like I was with Felix, Anthony, Shondell, and Seco, just grinding out, doing stuff in the library. But on top of that, I'm becoming, a better student, trying to get off AP. And it was kind of demoralizing, because I remember getting back tests, papers, exams, and me just doing, that little fold, because I'm like, all right, I got a bad grade, but, you look at it and it's like, oh, this an A, this a B. And I remember somebody called me, I was like, man, why you just, I'm like, cuz, I'm like, you don't know. And it was at least probably like 5 semesters before I was comfortable going into my NIU checking my grades. Like, I would always get the biggest anxiety trying to like checking my grades, just because of like the history and the past of just what I was going through. And so it was definitely some things that I had to work through. So this semester, like I said in the last episode, I got a 3.0, but it came from, just hard work, dedication, and, just grinding. And so I still ended up getting a D in freaking history 261. I remember it, and I was mad. My mom even beat me up about it. Was like, how you still get a D, despite the other grades? And, Miss Curry and Mr. Smith, they was just real supportive. Of like, hey, we don't care, you got a 3.0, and sometimes it happens. Like, sometimes the class get the best of you, because, we can tell you tried based on, the other grades. Like, it was 2 other classes I had retook, and I got passing grades. Like, you jump from a D to an A, a D to a B. That's significant progress, and that's going to reflect in your GPA. And so I was like, all right, I'm like, cool. And I was like, I wish my mom could see, it from that perspective lens, because she was definitely like, how you still get a D? But I say that to say, like, being on academic probation, it was, anything far from easy, because, you kind of walk around, blinded, not knowing what to do, and you just want to be perfect, but nobody's perfect. And so, because I wanted to be back in college, and I felt like there were so many people that took the time to invest in me, the least I can do is get good grades. Like, that's just what I felt. And so, just going through the motions, I was like, all right, I'm doing this not only for me, but for them, but also for my cousin that was killed, because some of my memories, like of my cousin, this particular cousin didn't go to college, but I remember when I would come home and see him on holidays, he was just like, James, I can't wait to come visit you at school, so we can kick it, this and other. I'm like, hey, just let me know. And my cousin never had the opportunity just to come visit for a weekend, and so I was just kind of like, devastated. I definitely did a year of counseling just to get through that, and other stuff like growing up in the city. As much as people don't want to talk about, people laugh at it, is that you develop a sense of PTSD, and I actually was living with it because of some events that happened in high school, and so I was able to finally work through those as a second year student in college. So that's just kind of crazy how when you start finding inner peace with everything, it just all started working out. And I don't take for granted being on academic probation, because it taught me a lot. It built me. It made me a better student. It made me a better man. It made me a better individual. And it just helped me be able to navigate the institutions of higher ed, because when people see that type of GPA, I'm not gonna lie, it's demoralizing, because they unofficially write you off as like, hey, he's not gonna be able to do anything. He's not gonna be here next semester. So that kind of motivated me to just do what I can, because don't write me off. And I was just telling some people like, hey, I may not be the smartest person, I may not be rich, but I'm a hard worker, so I'm gonna find ways to make things happen. And with this experience as a professional, I'm able to help motivate my students, and I never write them off. Like, that's one thing. If anything, I've been supportive, and I've seen students make great strides if they follow the plan. And I'm just grateful to be able to have that. And students remember that, because it's like, you didn't give up on me, when everybody else did. I was like, hey, I've been in your shoes, so I know what it felt like, to be backed up in a corner, with nowhere else to go. Where you just gotta make it happen. And so by using that experience, and I'm open about that, because being an academic advisor, students paint this perfect picture of you. Like this perfect picture where they think, oh, you had a 4.0 in college, you know what I'm going through, you can't relate, because they see you in front of them, giving them life advice, making decisions on when they graduate or not, what they need to do. And I had to tell them, like, y'all are really funny. I was like, I'm just like some of y'all. I was on academic probation. I've been dismissed from school. Like, you can't tell me, nothing, because I say the bottom of the bottom. And if I can stop you from going down that road, let's make it happen. Like, let's work to do the best that we can. And students really appreciate that, because it was just like, wow, I would have never known. And thanks, because it gives them a sign of hope where they may not have seen it. And it's a very vulnerable space to be in, because you don't want people knowing, you don't want people judging you. You don't want people turning their backs on you, because you just feel like everybody just don't believe in you in those moments. And being on academic probation was eye-opening. It was humbling, and it made me to not judge somebody based off like grades, because statistically I probably shouldn't have graduated from college, let alone when they got a master's degree, based off that first year. If I can leave you with one thing, I would say keep fighting and don't give up, and prove them wrong. Like, that was one of the biggest things in my mind. Just, hey, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like, you're not gonna say these things about me. I'm just gonna make it happen. And as you all can see, I am living proof that that GPA doesn't define you, and you can come back from that. And so I just challenge all of you to ask for help and never give up. Academic probation is kind of what you make of the situation. And so one thing you have to do is you have to be, upfront, communicate, and talk to your peers and instructors about it, because once you get those things down pat, it's gonna be a breeze. And one of the best things I did was just make people aware of the situation, and that way they could hold me accountable and help me work through some things that I may have struggled with before. So that's it for this episode of the Sitting There Street Podcast. I thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you or hearing you on the next episode.